All right, so again, grab your yoga blocks, put them aside for now, and then we'll start on our back. And we'll start with what's called a banana pose. So we're going to come on back, and what we'd like to do is move our hips over to the right edge of the mat as we lay down, okay? And then all you do is move your left leg to the left, and then you can cross your right over your left, and then extend your arms up, grabbing the right wrist with the left hand, and you can just move. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm sort of scooting, walking my upper body over, okay? And we'll be here for 5 minutes. So biomechanically what's happening is you can feel on your own body, like you press down here. So that's called the iliac crest, the top of your pelvis. And then you can run your fingers up, and then again you'll feel some hard bone. Those are your ribs. And then there are muscles right in here, in between those two. And so the more my ribs come away from the iliac crest, the top of my pelvis, the more stretched they will be here. And I can feel it. It's very tight. It's very taut. Okay, and so that's what I'm looking for. Also up here. So these are called your intercostal muscles. And according to people like Tom Myers, there is just a line of fascia, what I think he calls it the lateral line. So there's a line of connective tissue running up here, and Tom calls those myofascial meridians. So they're meridians made up of fascia and muscle. So this is the line we are trying to stretch here. In Taoism, this is called gallbladder channel. So it has a kind of an energetic effect on us. All right, so we're trying to open up and stretch that gallbladder channel. And if we do that properly, then it should help overall in balancing our energies, our nervous system, our health. Working with meridians and yoga and yin yoga, it's not the only thing for health, but it can be part of a healthy lifestyle. So I don't want you to think just because you balance your gallbladder channel or whatever that all your diseases are going to disappear or all your problems are going to go away. It doesn't really work like that. But doing this kind of thing can be very helpful overall for our health. All right, hopefully everyone's doing all right. I want you to stay in the pose, but I'm just checking on everybody. Let me know if you need a hand or you have a question with any of this. It should be fairly straightforward, but you never know. Sometimes people have injuries and other things going on. We're about halfway through, so we've got about another 2 minutes plus here, okay? Just a few more seconds left here. And for those of you that may be newer to doing this style of yoga, really the key to getting the most out of it is staying in the positions as we do them. So I know it can be really, really tempting to come out and to move and to get a sip of water and to get up and do other things. And that's fine if you do. It's not, evil or bad, but you will be interfering with a physiological process that we're trying to create. So just be aware of that. Okay, let's come through center for a moment. And I'm just going to invite you to feel both sides and see if you can sense even just a little change, in what you're feeling one side versus the other side. And if you don't, you don't. So I'm not asking you to feel something that's not there, but hopefully you can feel at least that, yeah, it feels a little different. You might not know why or, what that means, but hopefully you can feel that. Let's do the other side. This is called banana pose or banana asana. So I recommend bringing the hips over to the edge of the mat, and then you can move those legs over. And visually, which is not that important, honestly, how you look, but visually, most people will look like a sort of a crescent moon or a C shape when you're doing this properly. The important part is the stretch. So you're feeling the stretch in here. Now, that does not need to be super intense, okay? It can be a gentle stretch. That's perfectly fine. My teacher, Paul Grilly, who taught me yin yoga, he liked to say, 60, 70% is plenty. It doesn't need to be 100%. It doesn't need to be super strong. So just a gentle stretch along the side of the body here. Last night, as I taught this in class, somebody asked if it was okay if they felt the stretch down into their hip. And yes, that's perfectly fine. You may feel it all the way up the side of your body. And I would say that that's probably good. It's even better if you're having tension down here. I certainly feel it down here as well as up here. But because today is for the torso, try and make sure you are getting it in the upper body. So maybe you just are aggressive enough so that you feel that in that waist. Again, pulling the pelvis, and again, you can feel it, the pelvis away from the ribs there. Okay, we're about 1.5 minutes into this one. Hey, Ann, welcome. I'm going to mute you, okay? All right. So drop me a note in the chat if you have a question, or you can unmute and let me know if you're having a problem. And that goes for everybody. Otherwise, we're about 2 minutes in. Got 3 minutes left here. And again, I know it can be really challenging to hold these shapes. So let me give you a piece of advice. It is much better to do less and hold the posture the entire time than it is to push really deep and then feel like you need to stop. So again, the time in yin is really going to be the important factor, like holding the stretch rather than how deep the stretch is. Okay, so consider that when you're positioning your body. Better to do a gentler version and hold it than it is to do a really aggressive version and then feel like, I can't stay here. About 2 minutes left here. just a few seconds here. When I ring the gong, we'll unwind and we'll do what's called a rebound. So rebound is an invitation for stillness, for rest. So some of you are from the KI group. And so again, just relaxing with the sensations. Yin and yoga in general can teach us to begin to hold space for what we're feeling in our body. So before you counter stretch, see if you can just unwind onto your back and notice what you're feeling and embrace what you're feeling, welcome it. And it may not feel good, right? We might feel a pinching in our hip or our back or something like that. So I would never ask you to do something that was unsafe. So if you're in danger, physical danger, you do whatever you need to do. That goes the whole time, anytime. You know, if you're in a pose and you're in physical danger, you come out of that pose. If you're being still and you're in physical danger, you need to move, then you move. But when we distinguish between physical danger and discomfort, hopefully we can learn to hold space for more and more discomfort. So we come out of a pose, we feel some discomfort, and before we immediately try and fix it and push it away and, you know, hug our legs and move around, let's just see if we can welcome those sensations, love those sensations, hold them. And you might find that as you do that, some of the sensations at least may just go away in that time. Right? They just go away on their own. We don't have to do anything about it. Now, if there's some lingering sensations, let's bring our legs in and we'll shake them out. A little bit of movement. So you can make circles, you can rock side to side, forward and back, you know. So self-care, we're not going to allow them to be there forever. We'll take care of ourselves, try and rebalance as best as we can. So whatever movements do that for you. And then we'll do an active movement that stabilizes the hips and the spine. So it's called the hinge. Hands under the hips, palms down. We take those legs up. Now, if you have back problems, this may hurt. So then you'll bend the knees, okay, until the pain goes away in your back. Otherwise, legs are straight. We lift the head and neck, take a deep breath, and exhale. We lower those legs. Just before they touch, we pause, inhale, legs up, and we exhale, and we pull ourselves up to seated. All right, beautiful. So if you're following along so far, you're doing great. Now we'll do the butterfly pose. And many people, the minute they see feet together, they want to do this. So we're trying to stretch our back, so we don't want to do that. So sometimes it's called the diamond pose, sometimes it's called long leg butterfly. Really doesn't matter what you call it. We just want those feet out a bit, and then we fold forward and down. Now again, I know not everyone has blocks, but like I said before we started, this is what I would recommend. If you're going to buy one yoga prop, buy 2 yoga blocks if you can. I don't think they're very expensive. These are made of cork, but you can get them made of foam, even wood. I've seen them made of solid wood. Solid wood can be a bit hard. Some foam is too soft, in my opinion. And then these are just a nice kind of middle ground. So, a few things you can do with the blocks here. Since we're not stretching our groin, and you should already be in the pose if you know what you're doing. If not, you could be watching me and I'll educate you about this. So we're not stretching here, which is what we're doing when we do this. Okay, this is more of a groin stretch. Okay, instead we're trying to stretch our back. So feet out, and then we can place these under the knees and support the knees because we don't really care if there's a stretch here or not. That's not why we've put our legs in this position. Okay, all right, let's see. In this position, I have some pain pinching a knees area. Yeah. So do you have blocks, Natalia, that you can use? Something you could put under your knees for support? That would be one possibility. Another possibility would be for you, okay, books, you can try that, or you can try legs straight. Maybe that would be better for you. The reason we do the knees bent like this, so you all know, is many people have a lot of tension in the back of their thigh. And so when they try and do this, they look kind of like this. And we are going to do that in a minute. But for right now, we're starting with this if possible. But if you're like Natalia or other people who are having trouble with the knees bent, you can go ahead and jump ahead to that. You just may end up doing that twice, which is fine. Totally fine. Because both this and this are trying to stretch the backside of our torso. All right, perfect. So that works for her, straight legs. So legs can be straight. Again, if I have props, this is one solution, right? Pain in my knees or other parts of my body, just easing up on what we're doing in the legs. Other things that happen to people in this posture is their head hanging down can get really heavy. And they might feel like almost like a headache or pain in their neck, those kinds of things. So one solution looks like that. Just place that block under my forehead. Okay, another thing that can happen is maybe you have a back injury or you have a lot of tension in your back, and as you come forward, you're just feeling like it's super intense. Like, God, can we just turn down the volume on this? So another option would look like this. I take my forearms and it's just giving me a little extra support. So gravity isn't, pulling quite so aggressively on my upper body. I'm just resting here. In essence, it raises the ground up so I don't have as far to go. And the blocks, of course, have 3 heights, right? So I could be up here, I could be here, I could be here, right? And then, of course, you could, when you're ready, you could get rid of those blocks. But I do want to reiterate, I say this a lot, I haven't said it today, but the point isn't flexibility. This isn't about like, oh, let me see if one day I can get my forehead to the ground. The stretch brings the benefit. So as long as you're feeling that gentle stretch along the back of your torso, that's what's going to bring you the benefit, not touching your forehead to your feet or bringing your forearms flat to the ground or anything like that. And this is a very common misconception. And this is something, again, I learned from my teacher, Paul Grilly, that's a misconception in yoga, that people think we're trying to contort the body or we're constantly trying to make it more flexible. Rather, the therapeutic effect is in the stretch itself. So everybody can stretch. Everybody, for the most part, right? There's always exceptions, but if you're relatively healthy, you can stretch safely, and that's what our goal is. Okay, so we're all going to join Natalia now with our legs straight. This is called a caterpillar, and we are intending to do the same thing. So what is the difference once I've straightened my legs? Well, once I've straightened my legs, I've taken up the slack in my hamstrings. Have you ever wondered why? And again, if you know what you're doing, you should already be in the pose. I've already started the timer. So I'm going to continue educating as you do the posture. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're confused, if you're having a problem, hopefully I'll address that as we go. But if you already know all this stuff, just do this, okay? Again, you can use support, right? Forearms, forehead. You can even sit on a block. So this is one of the things. If once you straighten your legs, you're having trouble, you can sit on a block. So let's demonstrate real quick. And, with my legs straight, my abdomen, my chest doesn't reach my thighs. The minute I bend, right? Look, there's no space. I'm completely flat. So what happens? Why am I not able to keep my chest on my thighs as I straighten them? There's a muscle back here, and it crosses over the knee joint, and then it crosses up here at the hip, which attaches to what's called the ischial tuberosity. So when you sit down on the ground, if you feel those bones underneath you, that's your ischial tuberosity. Okay, it's sometimes called the sits bones. So that area, we're sitting on that, and once I straighten my legs, the hamstrings, if they're really long, and you've probably, if you've done some yoga, you've probably seen people like that in class. They're completely flat. Their belly is on their thighs. So they have long hamstrings. That's what that means. Maybe they've stretched a lot. Maybe they were born that way. Maybe they were a gymnast or a dancer or a martial artist. Who knows? Maybe they do a ton of yoga. I do a lot of yoga, but this is the best I got. Is that going to change? Maybe, but probably not very much. That's probably about it for me. Other people, when they straighten the legs, they are like this. Maybe you've seen that as well. So they're kind of holding themselves up. They're like wanting to come forward, but they really can't. So for those people, repeating this, great idea, okay? If you don't want to repeat that, you can also, a couple of blocks, blanket, bolster, right? Do one of those. And I already mentioned you can sit up on a block. That will help gravity pull you forward a little more aggressively, okay? If you like. So those are the choices there. There's one final choice, and I only recommend this if maybe you've had more experience with yoga, maybe you've done some inversions. So in other words, I don't recommend this as like your first inversion ever. It's unnecessary. But if you've done some of that stuff, you want to go a little deeper, then you can try this, which is called the snail. Once you're upside down, you want to shrug those shoulders underneath you. You can see my arms are straight. I've interlaced my fingers. That's one option. I can also do one of these. So not everyone can do that because of the shape of their shoulders. So you can do that. You can hold those hips. You can hold the back of your thighs or your ankles or your feet. Your legs can be together or apart. They can also be straight or bent. Okay, so lots of options. You just want to be sure that your neck is happy with what you're asking it to do. You also want to be sure that it's safe for you to invert. Okay, and again, that's something that you would discuss with your doctor, really. Knowing your condition, your health conditions, if you have conditions that would be contraindicated to inverting, like I think maybe glaucoma, and there's some other ones as well. So just know your health and what you can do. Same with your neck and your back, right? If you've got issues in your neck and your back, may not be the greatest idea for you. So just know your limits and your body, your ability. And again, if you have a question about that or difficulty, you can always reach out to me after class or before class, and we can discuss it together, your options. Okay, so let's take our time unwinding onto our back. And again, in yin, we call this a rebound. You unwind, you relax, you feel. So I definitely feel my pelvis. I wasn't even in the pose that long, but I can still feel the effects on my back and my spine. It's not exactly pleasant, but also I know it's not dangerous. So I know that I can just kind of allow that sensation, and it's almost completely gone now. Okay, let's pull those legs in. We'll give them a little squeeze, shake it off. And then when you're ready, we'll hinge up. So hands under the hips, legs up, head and neck, exhale lower, And then inhale, come on up. Beautiful. Okay, so next posture, challenging, at least for some. It is for me, so that's why I say that. You might find it really pleasant, really enjoyable and easy. There's one thing I've learned doing this is nothing applies to everybody, right? We're all different. Our experiences are different. So legs wide like this is called dragonfly. Sometimes people ask me, what am I supposed to do with my feet? Do they flex? Do they point? Don't worry about the feet. Just let them relax. If you want to flex them, you can, but that's not necessary. We're going to turn toward the left leg, so make sure you know your left and right. And then we just fold over, holding ourselves in place with the hands. So I'm not pulling, I'm just sort of holding myself in place. I hope that difference is evident. This is pulling down, and this is just holding myself. Okay, so I'm not actually using my muscles. Okay, once you're there, you want to see, do you feel the stretch here? Remember we stretched this at the beginning, so we're trying to stretch this again a little more intensely. That's our idea. So this is fine if you're already feeling it, and I actually do feel a little bit today. But if that's not strong enough or you're not feeling it, then you do one of these. You sort of roll or stack that shoulder. So the right shoulder over the left shoulder. I'm not mirroring you, just so you know, so you're probably going that way on your screen. I'm going this way, okay? And so we're looking for that stretch here. Now you may feel it here, and that's okay. Okay, in here, but we're looking for it here. Now let's talk about people who may not have that level of flexibility. I'm not super flexible. If you think I am, you haven't seen some of the people I teach. They're like truly flexible. I think I have fairly average flexibility, but I've worked on it. So my average flexibility may seem like above average, but I'm like at my limit, and I've been stretching for years and years and years and years. Other people, they come to class and they're already more flexible than me, their first yoga class. So those are people who are truly flexible. So what if you lack the flexibility to even really come into this shape? There's a few things you can try. One is a strap over the foot, and then you just sort of hold yourself there. You could like hold the ground or just try and hold your torso there. You don't have to hold the foot. Again, the main thing is to stretch here. Another thing you may not consider is just bending this knee and then coming like that, or even, you know, using that leg to fold that shoulder back. Some people, again, if you kind of feel like you're like this, like you're being pulled backward, you might try sitting on something. A block is one choice, but also folded blanket, you know, something like that will work as well. A bolster, you know, like a big pillow or something like that. And then that allows gravity to kind of pull me forward more easily, and then you might find, okay, you know, you can do that. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. I think those are the options. The final thing I'll say is if that pose really just doesn't agree with you, then go ahead and repeat the first one we did, right? Remember this, the banana pose? So this is essentially the same stretch. It's just less aggressive, okay? So my idea when creating the sequence was let's go from less aggressive to more aggressive. Some people need the more aggressive stretch to really get through the tension that they're feeling in their body. Some people need it even just to feel almost anything. It's hard for them. Banana is hard. They don't feel much stretch. Again, I've been teaching a long time. I've taught a lot of different bodies, and so at one yoga studio I teach at here in Atlanta, many of the dancers from the Atlanta Ballet would come and take yoga classes. And, you know, it would be difficult to get them to stretch. We would have to take these postures and these stretches and kind of amp them up, often using props to just get them to feel anything. The shapes were really easy for them. They could just pop in and out of those shapes because they're not that different than a lot of the shapes that a ballerina or a ballet dancer needs to make. You know, legs split completely apart. Those types of things are prerequisites for being a professional dancer. So it's not the shape. So again, they could do the shapes perfectly. It was the stretch. And again, that's what my yin teacher, Paul Grilly, really taught me, is it's really more about how it feels. It's not so much about creating a shape with the body. It's more about feeling things in the body. All right, everybody, please take your time. We're going to switch to the other side. Okay, so this is a half dragonfly. And again, it pretty much the legs as wide as they can go, and then we come over on this side. One final thing I will mention about this, I didn't mention on the first side that I should have, is that this leg is the off leg. And in fact, we're not really that interested in the legs at all. This just, for me, is a deeper stretch than banana, and I think it is for many people. Again, if you look at my pose, it's not impressive. It doesn't look very good. It doesn't look pretty, right? So if what was important is how it looks, then I would fail. You know, I'd be a bad yoga teacher. But I feel a nice, intense stretch here, and that's what I want. Again, this is gallbladder channel, right here, along here. And then in here, if you feel the stretch, that's liver channel. So liver and gallbladder are yin and yang to one another. They're like they're paired up. They affect one another. So in this one posture, we're getting both of those channels, stimulating both of those channels, at least potentially. Okay, so another thing you can play around with is this leg, right? If that leg is bothering you, you could do it like this. You could take that foot back like that. Some people might prefer that, okay? So again, what's important is here, stretch, safety, that you don't feel like you're hurting yourself in some way. And then the final thing is being comfortable enough to hold that shape, that you don't feel like, again, oh, this is too much, I need to come out of it. Again, you'll see me coming in and out because I'm trying to demonstrate certain things. This isn't my practice, right? If I'm going to do yin yoga, I'll do it later in the day and I'll practice. I'm trying to lead you guys through the practice. So we've about 2 minutes in, so another 3 minutes here. Less than a minute. Okay, everyone, again, I'll invite you to rebound. And the best way to do that is just gradually, slowly, before you counter stretch. So before you wiggle or twist or do whatever, see if you can just relax back and feel. So I'm feeling it in my back and my side. Sensation in the body is the way the body communicates to us. Once we learn language, we tend to label what we feel. Pain, anger, grief, joy, love. These are all felt in the body. Emotions are just contractions or energies we feel in different centers in the body. We tend to covet some of these sensations, right? Love, joy, a sense of peace. We want that. And then other things, pain, discomfort, we don't want. We try and push those away. But what the tantric yogis and the Taoists want us to begin to try and notice is maybe you just feel the sensations as just energy. So see if you can put the label. The mind immediately grabs onto it and says, it's this, it's that. Stay away from that. Pain, stay away. So see if you can just relax and just feel energy. Just energy in the body. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not evil. Just feeling. Okay? Then we'll bring those legs in. And now at this phase, we are going to try and change what we feel, get rid of it, if you will. Okay, there's a time and a place for everything. So there's a time to feel and to be open. And then there's a time to try and change how we feel, try and feel better. So that's this. This is the leg cradle. Okay. So I love the Taoists, how they say there's a time and a season for everything. So, okay, let's go ahead and we will hinge up. And we have our final set of 2 back bends. Okay, so this is where the props come in. So what I recommend is if you have 2 blocks, one under your head, you could also replace that with a pillow or a blanket. So don't be afraid to do that. And hopefully you can see second block basically between the shoulder blades or under the shoulder blades. It depends on your back flexibility. Now, when I teach this in person, I see a lot of people with their butt like up above the ground. Try and keep your butt down. Okay, so try and keep your butt on the ground, and then you can adjust this wherever you like. Okay, right there feels good to me. And then I'll move this so that it supports my head. Okay. Now, I'm starting the timer, so again, if you know what you're doing, go ahead and come into it. Otherwise, I'll keep talking to try and educate you about this stuff. If you're confused or having difficulty, we want to stretch right in here. Okay, this is your anterior deltoid and your pectoralis. Now, if you bring your arms down, at least in my body, I don't feel any stretch here. So here, or perhaps up here, now I begin to feel the stretch. And again, right in here is where I want to feel it. Now you might feel your back. Okay, so if you're feeling your back, that's not a stretch, that's called compression. Compression is can be good for your back. It just kind of depends on the condition of your back. So whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling it in your back, again, you need to judge, is that within the range of what you sense is safe for you? If not, then by all means adjust the block in whatever way you need to. Okay, I got a question. Okay, thanks, Darlene. See you next time. All right, so you're here. Now, what if this pose is just not for you, or what if you don't have a block, okay? So then what I would recommend you try instead would look like this. And this is just called Sphinx, okay? So you're laying on your belly. And again, we're still trying to stretch here. So in this position, I don't feel the stretch. So here, I begin to feel it. But I'll tell you the stretch is in my abdomen. It's not in my chest. So it's the front of the body, but it's not exactly the same area. The reason I have the supported fish, that's the name of this posture, in the sequence today is because, again, torso. So the muscles of the torso. Right in here, the front of your shoulder, the front of your chest, this area in most people tends to become very restricted. And the reason for that is we have our devices, we sit in a chair, we're at our computer, we're in our car. Most of us sit in something approximating this position. You can see my shoulders are rolled forward. My head is forward of my shoulders, right? It's, you know, more relaxing than sitting like this. So most of us end up in some position like this. Now, what's significant about that is when that happens, over time, these muscles, two things can happen to them. One is they can actually get short and tight. So even if you try and do that, for some people, they can't. It's just there's too much tension here. They literally can't bring their shoulders back anymore. So that's where active stretching can help open that up. Okay, so you can do like shoulder stretches, vinyasa yoga, different things, stretch that out. The other part, which is a little more hidden, is the nervous system regulates how we hold our body habitually, right? So, you know, if your mother comes along and says, hey, sit up straight, you can sit up straight, right? Maybe you don't have so much tension, you can do that. But then the minute mom goes away and you start talking with your friend, you end up back here. Why? Because that's where your muscles have learned they're resting. Okay, this doesn't feel like rest to them, this does. So they habitually try and go back here. And then you're like, oh, I need to sit up. And then you relax and you come back here. You get on the phone, you start talking with somebody, you get on the internet, right? You end up in this position again. So what we want to do is teach the nervous system to keep these muscles long. That's where this yin yoga comes in. As you sit there and you lay there and this stretches passively for minutes at a time, it opens up this muscle and it resets the nervous system that this muscle is supposed to be longer. It's not supposed to be all short like that. And then what you might find over time is that your posture just improves. You just naturally sit up straighter, you roll your shoulders back without thinking about it. You just feel more natural, like that's where your body is supposed to be. Okay, we have one more back bend. Now again, we will need a prop for this. So if you don't have props, you have two choices. And I'll just cover this first for those that don't have the props, okay? You could again do this, because this will stretch your abdomen, okay? Or this is much harder, so I only recommend this for the people who already know this posture, but this is saddle. You can do saddle. And you know, you may be able to stretch your chest a little bit here. I don't know. I don't get it, but you might be able to get the stretch there. Okay, here's the posture we're doing. It's called supported bridge. So you grab your block, come onto your back, lift the hips, and then notice the block has 3 heights, right? So I'm going to lift my hips pretty much as I can do safely, okay, safely. And then I place the block under my hips at that height. And it's different for everybody. Okay, so I place that there. And then I'm looking for the stretch here, front of my abdomen. I don't feel it. So what I'll do is I'll begin straightening out my legs, okay? And then for even more stretch, I bring my arms overhead. Okay, so that's rectus abdominis. It attaches to the pubic bone on one end and then up at your ribs at the other end. So again, the more my pelvis tilts that way, and the more my ribs tilt this way, the more this muscle is lengthened. And that's it. Now, having said that, where do I feel the most sensation? In my back. So again, for me, I know that this position is safe. If you have back issues and this doesn't feel safe, then you may have to compromise, right? So maybe you bring that block down or you bend those knees a bit, but you may lose some of the stretch here. But I'll say this, safety is more important than the stretch. So always let safety limit how far you're going to go. Those of you who've practiced with me a lot know that there is a difference between comfort and safety, right? So that's a distinction that we need to make over time. If you're new, they may be the same thing to you, right? If you feel uncomfortable, you assume you're unsafe, and so you immediately come out of it, and that's fine. That's fine. Over time, you may realize or learn, okay, this pose is really uncomfortable, or my back, I'm feeling a lot of sensation in my back, but I know from experience that it's safe. I'll go a step further and I'll say this, you can get to the point where you realize not only is it safe, but that allowing the discomfort now actually yields healing and benefit later. Okay, so again, some of you from the KI group, this applies in KI as well, that if I have emotions or sensations or contractions coming in my body and I don't want to feel them, right? We know from our experience doing the work that if I can, to the extent that I can allow them and I can encourage them, like Scott talks about the deer coming out of the into the field, out of the woods, right? The more that I can encourage that, then I can release those trapped emotions and memories, and then free myself and free that energy, and life just gets so much better as we do that. So the postures, one thing I love about being a yoga teacher is these lessons we can learn physically in the postures translates into the psychological part of yoga, which is the deeper part, really. You know, the postures are a nice starting place. We can begin to familiarize ourselves with our bodies, our sensations, with, again, pain, discomfort, safety, where we feel safe. And that's the thing. Safety is your perception of it, right? It's your idea of it, how far you can go safely. No one gets to decide that but you. At least that's the way I feel about it. You know, it's up to you to decide where is, in yoga we call it your edge. Where's your edge, right? Right at that point where you're like, I know I'm safe, I know I'm safe, I know I'm safe, and then you're kind of like, I don't know, not too sure. So that's a very interesting place to bring a lot of awareness. At that point where you're like, yeah, I don't know if I should go any further. And I'm not saying there's a right answer. right? The answer may be you shouldn't go any further. Or the answer might be that there's something very interesting on the other side of that point that you're like, I always stop here, right? Okay, let's go ahead and take your time, lift those hips up if you're in this position, remove the block, gradually come on down. Yep, a lot of sensation in the back. Some of you know I had a back injury a while back, and I've been healing my back for a long time. It's feeling very strong these days, so I'm happy to share that news with you. But, you know, even if it's strong, we can still feel very sensitive coming out of that. So again, I just try and relax and feel the sensations, and they may be changing, they might be on their way out, they might just be hanging out. And then if they're not going away, we will just move a little bit. So this is the move I recommend, just very gently. You don't have to drop the knees all the way down, just gently side to side with the knees. All right, let them, your hips will rock and that'll twist your spine very gently, which will release. Okay, so that's the first move. And then when you're done with that, you can be more aggressive. Bring those legs in. You'll see I'm making circles. That just feels good. It feels like I'm massaging my pelvis on the ground. So to the best of my ability, I'm going to try and, again, get rid of those sensations. Try and make myself feel good and balanced before my relaxation. Okay? So I do all that. And then the final thing we'd like to do is just unwind onto our back in really any relaxing, comfortable position that you will be able to hold. So I would do this one like this, and we call that pentacle in yin. But any position of your arms, legs, head that's comfortable is fine. And then if you have a watch, we're not going to do this together, we'll end the meeting here. But if you have a phone or a watch or a timer, you set a timer for 6 minutes is what I recommend, which is 10%, if you're wondering where 6 minutes comes from. This is a 60-minute class, so 6 minutes is 10%. That's what I was taught to do as relaxation in yoga, is 10%. So you set the timer for 6 minutes, you close your eyes, and just for that time, see if you can just rest. Stillness. You can think of it as a meditation, you can think of it as a relaxation, but it can be very interesting to be still and to notice what arises in that stillness as you are still there, especially since we just worked these different channels in our body. What emotions, what thoughts, what sensations arise when I am just still for a few minutes. Okay?